The best cameras for live streaming. I get this question a lot. Should I get a Sony a7S? Should I get a Canon? What's the best camera to use for a live stream? Don't go anywhere because in this video, I'll answer your burning questions. Hey there live streamers and filmmakers, Zephin here, and in today's video, I'm going to ask you to hit the like and subscribe button below, and then I'm going to cover the types of cameras that can and should be used in a live stream. The best camera to be used in a live stream, and a few specs that you should consider when picking a camera. Now, before we can even go into camera makes and models, it's important that we look at the end result that we want to achieve. For everyone and every shoot, this is going to be different. For some, you might want to be a solo operator or one man and or one woman band. So your end result might require something where you can run the cameras remotely while still working the live stream from the back of the room or a control room. For others, you might require a silky smooth zooming capability so you can easily have a camera operator zoom in and zoom out and follow the action. In other instances, you might have a concern for low light, in which case you might need a DSLR or cinema camera that operates better in low light. All that said, the smartest thing that you can do is to consider your end result and what you want it to look like. People tend to make the mistake of simply looking at specs on a camera, like the fact that it shoots 6K, which is irrelevant when people barely stream in 4K except gamers, or perhaps you're looking at the fact that the camera is affordable but totally ignoring the small sensor size, which means that it won't do well in low light. Start with the end in mind. Got it? Okay, now that's out of the way, let's talk about the different types of cameras that you might involve in a live stream. From the most affordable, we have webcams and smartphone cameras. They're great tools to have in certain situations, like a low to no budget situation, but outside of that, your quality is going to suffer. These are the smallest of the camera sensors, and therefore they won't provide you with a quality depth of field, good operation in low light, free of noise and grain, and they oftentimes require additional equipment to get decent sound going into them. Alas, if this is all you have available to you, it's not the end of the world, and everyone has to start somewhere. Next up is a DSLR or mirrorless camera. They're affordable on a lower budget with cameras like the Canon M50 Mark II coming in at just over $500. They provide great depth of field when paired with a prime or a fast lens. Think f2.8 or even better f1.4. But the downfall is some DSLRs and mirrorless cameras cannot record internally longer than 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Don't make that rookie mistake. And on top of that, not all cameras have what is considered a clean HDMI output. You know, when you plug in the camera using an HDMI cable and capture device, and then you see all the menu items and settings on screen? Yeah, that's considered dirty HDMI output. Lower end cameras typically don't have this feature because they were initially created for photography purposes only, but camera manufacturers are getting better about incorporating clean HDMI since more and more users need it. Now, another limitation of most DSLRs and mirrorless cameras is that they don't have what's called a servo zoom. This means that you can't smoothly press a button to zoom in and zoom back out. You have to do it by hand, and that can be super clunky looking. It's not a great look if you're trying to follow a public speaker around the room as they work their way through a crowd. The image will jerk back and forth a lot, and it'll give your viewers a headache. I like my mirrorless and cinema cameras for many of my live streams because they're great in low light and create an awesome blurred out background behind my talent, but there's definitely a time and place where they won't work. Which brings me to my next camera type. Cinema cameras. If you've seen my videos before, you probably know that I like shooting on my Canon C70, and it's my A camera for nearly everything. It's a phenomenal all-around 4K camera with built-in ND filters, dual SD card slots, 2 mini XLR audio inputs, and of course the beautiful dual pixel autofocus. But all of those features aside, it's really expensive to get servo zoom lenses for this camera, and Canon only makes like 3 or 4 of them. Oh, and they're not so great in low light. The 18 to 80 servo zoom lens is a T4.4. Yes, that's measured in T-stops, but that's not really ideal in low light, and at just under $5,000, I'm not racing to get it anytime soon. To get a servo zoom lens that's halfway decent, you'd be looking at the Canon 25 to 250mm lens, which has a T-stop of 2.95, but it will run you $30,000. Yeah, You could buy 5 more C70 cameras for that price. The benefit of the cinema camera is that you'll see better performance in low light, dual SD card slots so you could record in camera if you wanted to, unlimited recording time, longer battery life and/or AC power, and more professional audio inputs. This is why my C70 tends to be my go-to on a shoot, and if you're a cinema camera owner, you'll probably find that they're a great option for you as well. One quick note that I'll make for those of you thinking, well, Zeph, what about being able to zoom smoothly? I'd respond with, what about it? You see, we typically stream bare minimum with 2 cameras, so I almost always have a backup wide shot that I can cut away to while the camera operator is adjusting the zoom on the tight shot. Once I see them get their shot in position on my multi-view screen, I can easily cut back to their shot. Easy. Next up on the list are camcorders, or what people consider ENG style cameras. ENG stands for electronic news gathering, and these camcorders have come a long way since the big 45-pound monsters that camera operators had to mount on their shoulders. You can get a great camera like the Canon XA55, which has HDMI and SDI outputs, shoots 4K, has a servo zoom lens with a 15x optical zoom, and it has a large 1-inch sensor, so you'll get some blurred backgrounds and better action in low light. It's really the best of both worlds. This camera also includes color profiles like the wide dynamic range gamma that will match the wide DR in your Canon C70 or other cinema cameras. So pairing up a camcorder like the XA55 with a cinema camera like the C70 makes for a great setup. Now, I know that the C70 is $6,000 at the time of recording this video, and the XA55 is just under $3,000, so you're probably feeling a bit hopeless here if you haven't seen a huge success in your business. Before I go any further and tell you about the last camera option, PTZ Cameras, I want to talk about your business for a second. How are things going for you? Are you struggling to bring in new clients? Maybe you're not sure how to price your services so that you can finally boost your income and create recurring opportunities. I've created an opportunity for filmmakers and videographers to have a surefire way to add live streaming services to their business, and together with video experts Paul Xavier and Anthony Gallo, we've jam-packed everything I know into Six Figure Live Streamer. Six Figure Live Streamer is the ultimate course for video professionals that want to take their game to the next level and finally not have to worry about editing projects and make more money and get paid faster, since you no longer have to wait until revision round 18 and a half final is complete. Just click the link in the description below and you can check out a free training that we put together. So the last camera that would be a good option for live streamers is a PTZ camera, or pan, tilt, zoom. These cameras were adopted from the old security cameras that you see in the ceiling of a casino. They can be panned, tilted, and zoomed all remotely from a little joystick like in a video game. They've come a long way, and they now make 4K cameras and large sensor cameras, so the quality isn't half bad. In fact, under good lighting conditions, these cameras can be put up against the much more expensive camcorders. Cameras like the PTZ Optics or Bird Dog cameras are pretty popular in the live stream world. The big benefit is that you can place it 10 feet up on a C-stand and 100 feet away from you with the ability to pan around the room, zoom in on different aspects of the stage, and even set presets so you can quickly go from a close-up of a podium to a wide shot of a room. It's a really awesome feature, but just like every other camera, there are limitations. The panning isn't always the smoothest, and unless you buy the really high-end cameras, they still suffer in low light. A lower-end but decent PTZ camera might run you between $1,500 to $2,500, and the higher-end ones, well, we just won't go there. So as you can see, the answer is all relative to the final product that you'd like to create. I found a lot of success mixing the cinema cameras with at least one ENG style camera for the servo zoom capability, but this doesn't mean that you can't get started with a DSLR. Like I said at the beginning, a Canon M50 Mark II could work really well for smaller live streaming opportunities, and those cameras are small but mighty. In the end, you want to make a decision based on A, the budget that you have. Don't go blowing all of your money on cameras only to find that you need a bunch of cables, a live streaming switcher, and more. B, you want to take into account the types of settings that you'll be filming in. Will you have access to power? Some DSLR batteries die after 60 minutes. I'm looking at you, Blackmagic. Will you need a servo zoom? good low light shooting, think about the types of shoots that you'll be on, and if you're not sure, maybe consider renting from Borrow Lenses or Lens Rentals for your first few gigs. Then C, choose a camera that works for your current situation. Don't fall into the trap of thinking if you just buy the most expensive option, the work will show up. I don't think I've ever had a live streaming client ask me what camera I was using unless it was another video production company that was hiring me. So what camera are you live streaming with? Which cameras are you looking at? Let me know in the comments below.